Yes. Okay, I had to just click on it. So this webinar is being recorded, and the recording along with the slide deck will be made available in somewhere around a week or so. And if you have registered, we will send it through the email. If not, we will put it on our social media and website, and you should be able to get it. If you have any question during the presentation, please put it in the Q&A box. In the menu items, and wherever you're seeing either in the top and the bottom, you're seeing a bar with menu items on that. There will be something called as Q&A. Click on that, and you should be able to type in a question. We are not permitting audio questions because we just want to make sure that there is no background noise and that the webinar is we are able to complete the whole thing in time. So as we are going through, and if you have a question on a slide, please put it in the Q&A box, and we will take a pause. We will also leave some time towards the end of the session to make sure that we cover your questions. If you have any technical difficulties, put it in the chat, and we will see if we can help you guys. If you have difficulties with internet audio, try to switch to your telephone. And as I mentioned, we'll take a couple of pauses for the questions, and again at the end to cover your questions. And if you're unable to cover all your questions, or if you have, think of something that at a later point of time, you can definitely contact either Cindy from Grand Canyon, or Tracy from Cherrydale, or myself. And we have all the contact information on the respective slides that you'll see. All right, awesome. So I'm going to get this all started. So again, my name is Neelam Chakrabarty, and I am the founder and CEO of Arula. I don't know if many of you know what Arula is. So Arula by meaning means goddess of wisdom. And since, our platform and our website is targeted towards education, the name just makes so much sense for it. And the platform itself is basically a, family engagement platform. I started this whole online service from my, personal experience of frustration when I was a PTA at my kid's school. And it was so much paper, their Google Docs and their Sign Up Genius and this website to go to, and Google Forms and Excel spreadsheets. And it was really painful. After we had the first time that I was the PTA president and we had a back to school registration, we spent 3 months just entering the data from paper forms into Excel spreadsheets. And it was one of the most frustrating experiences of my life. And right after that, I thought there has to be a better solution to doing this. I quit my full-time job at HP and I started Arula. And I've been doing this for 1.5 years. We are getting many schools that are using that, and they're pretty excited and happy about it. And we are also doing back to school registration right now. So if you want, you can sign up for that. You have the contact information at the bottom. So basically, Arula is like having your private Facebook just for your school, where you can have your private school community, you can have your classrooms, and this is more relevant to elementary schools where they have different classrooms. You can have private groups for your board, for your parents, or for anything that you can think of that you need to create groups for, just like you can create groups in Facebook. We have member and school directory of all the parents, the PTO officers, the teachers, and the teaching and the non-teaching staff, everybody. So you can basically contact anybody on this platform without having their contact information directly exposed. You can also create events. So you have a calendar, you can create events and publish them either at your school level, your classroom, your group, or anywhere that you can think of that events are organized. Similarly, you can also create signups. So whether you are looking for volunteers or you're organizing a potluck party and you want people to bring stuff, or you want to publish a board, you're electing board for next year and you want to publish all the open positions. So there are tons of different reasons that you want to create signups, and you can do all that using the sign up feature on our platform. There is also ability to private chat, either with a single individual or with a group, so that you don't have emails, messages going back and forth that are, exposed to the entire school. And the best part is that there is a very cool feature which allows not only your school to communicate among themselves, but you can also have other schools. Let's say you're an elementary school and you have, other middle schools or high schools in your feeder area, and you want to somehow communicate with them, either with the PTOs or with the parents. You can do that. If they use Arula, the middle schools can communicate with the elementary schools and say, hey, incoming parents of middle school students, we have an information session next month, come and sign up, right? Those are the times during the transition times, when you need that communication the most with other schools, and you can do that using our platform. And this platform is open for the PTO, PTA leaders and volunteers. Parents can sign up, your classroom teachers, your non-teaching staff, as well as students who are older than 13 years old, like middle school or high school students, they can sign up as well. Because I know those age students, they kind of tend to get involved more in the school. So we do allow students who are 13 years and above to sign up and be part of our platform. We have 2 new features coming for school store and back to school. And as I mentioned, you have the information on the slide. Please sign up, and then we can get in touch with you and arrange for setting up your school community on our platform. Okay. All right. And if you have any questions, as I said, feel free to put it in the Q&A box. I will now pass over the control to to Tracy. She's a fundraising expert at Cherrydale Fundraising. And then we will have Cindy talk about the products.
All right.
Over to you.
Thank you. Hey, hello, afternoon, everybody. My name is Tracy Shriver, and I am with Cherrydale Fundraising. Just a little bit about me. I started fundraising at my kid's school, and then I kind of worked myself into this job, and then I started fundraising for a nonprofit. Then I got a phone call and asked to come back. Through all that experience, I'm probably one of the few people that has been in this from whenever they were a parent to working at the school and organizing it, to actually having it as a career, going to a nonprofit and coming back. So I've pretty much experienced fundraising all around. That's just a little bit about who I am. I like to help schools customize to their own needs. That's what I do. I'm going to pass this over to Cindy. It's your turn to talk a little bit about you.
Cindy, are you there? You may have to unmute yourself. No, you're going forward. You got to go back. All right. Oops. One more slide. Cindy, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yeah,
okay.
Perfect.
All right, so good morning, everybody. I'm coming to you this morning from Arizona, so it's definitely still morning here. Similar to Tracy, I also got started when my children were preschool, elementary. The mom that was the room mom, the PTA president, and I just fell in love with fundraising and helping my school. And it turned into a business for me about 16 years ago. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else at this time in my life. Now that my kids are in college, it still allows me to get into my schools and be around the young kids and customize things for what's best for their programs. So that's a little bit about me. And I guess we'll go right into the fundraising dilemma. A lot of times schools get into a rut where they are doing the same thing year after year. And for some schools, that works really well because families come to expect and want their products. And, you know, if they've bought cookie dough in the past, they're excited to get it again for the holidays. And for other schools, they may say, oh gosh, I still have cookie dough in my freezer from last year. I'd really like to change it up this year. So going in and looking at what worked for your school, if your participation is declining each year, you definitely want to change it up. I do have some schools and accounts that will do something on an every other year basis. So it kind of hits both family trials, whether it be a cookie dough sale or a gift wrap sale or a cup sale or magazine. It kind of just changes the whole dynamic each year and attacks every family at a different angle. And you know, with anything you're doing in fundraising, you definitely want to make sure that you have your whole school on board from day one to the end. That's going to make a big difference in the outcome overall. Okay, so there's a couple different types of fundraising. There's direct sell, and then there's event fundraising. I'm going to talk a moment about direct sell, and then a little bit later, Tracy's going to talk about events. So direct sell is going to be some of your candy bars, your Jamba Juice, lollipop sales, Kona Ice, brochure sales, anything like that is going to help you get involved and stay involved with the school. A direct sale is going to run for about 2 weeks from start to finish. I know, like with us and our company, we provide you with all kinds of video productions and kickoff assemblies, and anything in that direction is going to really help promote and direct your fundraiser to be the best that it can be for the duration. Because if you start your fundraiser, whether again it's, you know, popcorn Fridays or cookie dough brochure sales or candy bars, you have to advertise, promote, and make sure families know about it. Get it up on your school marquee, get email blasts, phone blasts, whatever your best direction of attacking and approaching your families is what's going to be best for you. Go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so again, talking about direct selling, there is a variety of sales. Cookie dough, these are things that run really, really well in the fall. Everyone starts planning for Thanksgiving and the holidays. I do have groups that run cookie dough in the spring, and on a typical sale, they'll do about half or less in the spring on a cookie dough line, or any kind of brochure sales as they would in the fall. Parents tend to check out a little bit more in the spring, and they start thinking about their summer plans. They don't want to go shopping through a catalog, so my recommendation would be to move most of your catalog sales to the fall unless you have a strong spring base. When you're talking catalog sales, it could be anything from spirit cups to gift catalogs. There's peanuts, there's popcorn. Smensels is a great year-round sale because those are non-edible. They're not eaten at the school. Families feel comfortable sending $1 in with their child if they're going to buy a pencil. If you're not familiar with Smensels, they're the pencils that kids love to write with because they all smell great. And there's a large variety of items in addition to the Smensels: backpack buddies, keychains, pencil holders, a whole gamut of different things. Let's see, what else would be there? Things like that are sold at the school. School supplies, spiritware. Families don't think of that type of thing as a fundraiser. So never feel that because you're doing a spirit drive at the beginning of school, parents are going to think that now you're doing a cookie dough fundraiser and you've already done a fundraiser. Spirit items, school items, whether it's t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, they're all just thought of as a fun thing to promote the school name. So never feel that adding a sale directly after that is going to have an impact, you know, negatively on your sale. Also, when you're doing some kind of direct selling, make sure that the company you're using, whether it's, you know, through our company or another in your local area, make sure you have somebody there to help you as your rep. Make sure you have online sales. Make sure you can count on that rep to be there to answer your questions, that your product is going to be delivered pre-packed per student. Your online sales work in a great respect in the fact that they can reach out to friends and family that don't live nearby. I know in Arizona, we have a lot of transplants from many different areas. So online sales do really well because so many families are from other areas and they want to support their grandkids and nieces and nephews and friends and family. And then with school supplies, I don't carry it, but I know there are certain school supply vendors where you can actually set it up where families can go online over the summer and purchase all the school supplies that that student's going to need for their back to school day. We can go to the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, direct selling. So direct selling can bring in a lot of money for the school. I personally have schools that will sell $40,000, $50,000 in a catalog sale. And when you're talking 40 or 50% back to the school, it really makes a lot of difference in what the school benefits are. There's very little work for the school when you're doing a direct sale. There are never any upfront costs to you. If you're ever working with a company and they tell you that it's going to cost you X number of dollars for your brochures for them to send it to you, look somewhere else. You do not and should not pay for anything aside from the product you receive. And then we, as your vendor, we're going to do most of the work for you. We're going to get you that material. We're going to get you your parent letter. We're going to tally everything for you. We're going to handle your late orders. We're going to pre-pack everything per student, and we're going to get it back to you in a timely fashion so you can get it back to your families. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so, oops. Can you go back one? Okay, choosing the correct product is super important. I know some schools will actually send a survey out to their families, just checking, hey, what do you guys want to look for next year? Don't over fundraise. Don't fundraise in August, September, October, November. Choose your fundraising options carefully. And I always tell my schools, let your families know what's coming. You know, if you have your year planned out in August, you know what you're doing in the fall, and you know what you're doing in the spring, put it in your back to school newsletter, put it in your January newsletter so everybody is ready and expecting. My thought process is if I've got a school that's getting ready to start a fundraiser and the child next door is on the local baseball team and he's doing something similar, if your family knows that their school is going to be hosting it, they may or may not buy as much from the kid next door who's doing something for his team. You're always going to get parents complaining. That's just the nature of the beast. And my phrase I tell all my schools, and something I always said to everyone as I was a PTA parent, is if they have a complaint or a suggestion, we accept all suggestions and complaints. And the best way to hear those is to please attend our next PTA meeting on X date. We would love to have your support. They will never complain again, and they more than likely will never show up at a meeting. Getting everybody on board to participate and help with your fundraiser, get your whole board involved, get everybody on board and promote from day one. All right, is this one Tracy?
I can take it if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. All right, so I'm going to go back over to say just a little bit, reiterate a little bit about what Cindy said. When you're choosing your product, if you're doing your direct sell, when you choose your product, you need to make sure it's something that you're excited about. You need to make sure that it's something that you believe in, because when you believe in something, that literally translates to everybody else. When you choose your vendor, make sure that the vendor you choose is going to be there to support you, because you want your vendor to maybe do like the logistics for you. Let them handle the parent letters, the collating, the getting of the merchandise to you, so you can spend your time executing yourself. So you can spend the time keeping your student body and your parents excited about it. Timing. This is something incredibly important. And if you don't get this right, it really can have a dramatic effect on yourself from years down the road. I always like to tell everybody, if you're doing an event, whether it's a carnival, and if you're doing a direct sale, like a catalog, this is something to keep in mind. I would always suggest you do a sale first and event second, because what that's going to happen is people are still excited in that fall, beginning of school. They're going to go ahead and do the sale. However, when the event comes, they're not going to tell their child they can't go to the event, whether it's a carnival or whatever. So, but if you were to reverse those two, they'll go to the event and they'll be like, oh, I already participated. And then they might not participate in the sale. They might not even show it to family and friends. They may just like throw it to the side. I've already done that. That timing is critical, really important. And then execute. Executing on your end is information. Information. I say that if you are the fundraising coordinator for your school, that does not mean that you do every single thing yourself. Maybe you're a person like I am who gets super excited about it and you like to inform people and keep people going. And then maybe you're not as good with the detail-y little stuff. That's what I would do. I would put people in place that with their strengths. If you're in a big school, you can literally break it down by grade. Put somebody in charge of each grade. You know, do not take on everything yourself, because once you do that, it becomes a burden and it is not fun anymore. Those are my suggestions. I think I'm going to head to I need the next slide. Okay. I think we talked a little bit about this, about how to choose the right product, changing it up from time to time. I think a little thing that we forgot to touch on a minute ago was another kind of direct sale, a sale that maybe you do popcorn every week, and you have to make sure you have the product, you have to purchase that, you make sure you have to have volunteers. So to execute something like that, a sale weekly is one of those things that cost money up front. Let's go to the next slide, because I think we talked about all this pretty much. I don't think I can. If I could get to I can't get my slide to work, so. All right, so when you're doing a sell, you need to work realistically. You need to kind of take a look at who you have helping you. Whether it's on direct sales, if you're wanting to do a vendor-based, that is something that will require less help, because your vendor is going to do a lot of the work for you. If it is a direct sale where you have to do something weekly, whether it's popcorn, whether you're doing snow cones, whatever you're doing on a weekly basis, you need to make sure you have the volunteer base to support that. Because what happens is if you go out and you buy all this product to sell on a particular day of the week, and what if your volunteer doesn't show up and your product is perishable? Well, then you're stuck with something and you've made no money off of it. It's not that that's not a good idea, because I think it's a great idea, but you need to really make sure that before you execute something that you have that in place. You know, and like I said, divide and conquer. Make sure that you have the right people in place. People are always willing to help. You just have to ask them. All right, next slide.
Can I jump in and answer a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there's a question from Judith. Says, how do you know if you're choosing the correct product? First of all, I would look at how many students are involved in your school. If you have a school of, 100 kids, is cookie dough the direction you're going to want to go? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on how motivated they are. You want to make sure that if you're doing a frozen fundraiser, you can hit and meet the minimums. Pull your parents, ask the kids, depending on what your grade level is. I know for me, if I'm working with a school and they are running a cookie dough sale and I watch their sales decline year after year, I will go in and meet with them and literally just say to them, you know what, let's change it up this year. Let's scratch cookie dough. Let's scratch catalog sales, and let's do a discount book, or let's do candy bar sales. And they are in awe when they see the difference of the community and how they buy into the product, it just makes for a different sale, and it makes it fun and exciting, and it's not the same monotonous thing year after year after year. There was another question on here, and I don't know where it went. It was, what do you do to keep your families excited?
Cindy, it should be in the answered tab. So if you click on answered.
Oh, you answered it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But feel free to add to it.
Let me just see what you wrote. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is about rallying the families, but it all starts at school with the kids. You want those kids to go home excited, because if the kids are excited, the parents are going to be excited. Kids want to win things. I know for me, we do a lot of collectibles, and you know, if they bring in saying they sold 3 things, they get a lanyard and a collectible. They want every collectible. They want to make sure that mom and dad are signing off saying, yes, Johnny sold 5 items, 10 items. They get them to get online because they can sell more items online and get more collectibles and earn more prizes. Keeping your families involved and letting them know, you know, due dates and times that, you know, we're doing a special drawing on Friday. Make sure, you know, Johnny brought in his order form and his coupons. Those are the things that are going to keep them excited. And then how important is it to get the staff and the teachers behind it? It is crucial. If you don't have your front office behind you, let's start with the front office. There's times where I'll call the school, and it surprises me that the front office don't even know who the PTA people are. Like, I'll ask for somebody and they're like, well, who is she? I'm like, well, she's the PTA president. Make sure your office knows your position at the school and how important you are. And then as far as your teachers go, absolutely, your teachers are 100% what are going to drive that sale.
Yes.
They are the ones that have to say to the students, did anybody bring in their fundraiser today? If the teachers are not behind it, that class is going to suffer. I've seen schools where the teacher just decided they didn't want to participate, and they chose not to even give the brochures out after I went to the school, did an assembly, you know, put all of my effort in that I can. But once I leave, it's up to the PTA to make sure that that sale is promoted for those 2 weeks. A 30-second you know, few words on the morning announcements or at the end of the day. And again, making sure your posters are up and the kids are seeing them and walking by. And once they start wearing those lanyards, they will start talking about their fundraiser. Like, oh my God, you got that one. I want that one. I'm going to go out and sell 2 more items tonight. So that's definitely the direction you want to try to get to. Okay,
Perfect.
we can go back to your slide now.
Hey, you're doing great. I think that does go back to divide and conquer, you know, keeping it up with the teachers, talking to them, making sure that they know what's going on, putting that one person in place who's in charge of a grade level. I think those are smart things. Those are things to keep it going. All right, let's go to the next slide. Let's see what we've got going. Okay, here we go. All right, event-based fundraisers. This is something that I love. They are a beast on their own. They are literally a beast. They can work very well and they can be a flop. People who want to do fundraisers, they do event-based because they want to support a cause. They are definitely can be run every year and they can be done very successfully. Let's go to the next slide. Perfect. Okay. The benefits of an event-based fundraiser. Event-based fundraisers, they can raise a lot of money. And the individuals who attend them, you know, they like to go to social events. They have sense of community. They can be really fun. School administrators love the activities. They love it, and things they don't have to plan. Types of events, fundraisers. There are runs. There are auctions. There are dances, there are carnivals, and there's donation-based. All of those are event-based fundraisers. Let's go to the next slide. Drawbacks of event-based fundraising. Event-based fundraisers take a lot of manpower. If your school is one of the schools that does not have a lot of support, they are very hard to execute. They can be done, but they will take very few people to do a lot of work and it can be very, very successful and very fun, but they do require a lot of work. Some of them may have up cost front. I mean, you have to pay money up front. What if you're doing an auction, a basket auction? What if you're doing a social event in the evening? If you are doing one of those, then you have to think about, do you have to rent the facility? Do you have to rent the tables? Do you have to rent the cloths? Where's all that money coming from? Will you have enough money to pay for that by the time the event is finished? Where do you have the money to make that event happen? You may have to do a sale to make that happen. You have to know what is involved in the fundraiser you're getting into. Lots of volunteers are required to execute any kind of event based. When you are running an event based, you're going to need someone who is very organized. They're going to, again, need to know everybody's strength. Maybe have a creative person who can take over all of the creative aspects. If you're doing an auction, they would be the person who would be doing maybe like the centerpieces and all that. But when you're doing an event, it is one of those things that it has to be planned out. It needs to be from the very beginning timeline to the very end executing it. It's not one of those things that can be done quickly, like a vendor-based sale. You can do that in like a couple of weeks and you're done and you have your money. It takes a lot of communication, but they are so much fun. They can be a lot of fun. We actually do, I'll just give you an example. We do Donate Zone, which is a run. It's a run that is, we have a fun run, a glow run, a color run. All of those things that's an event based, because kids raise money and then they come to the event. It still takes the same thing from everybody. It takes work. Every fundraiser takes work. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Hey, Tracy, I just wanted to add in terms of the timelines, one of the things you can do in terms of thinking about timeline is work backwards. So let's say if you're going to have an event, you decided it for fall in October, you work back the date saying that, hey, if you're going to have event on, say, hypothetically on October 10, then we need to be ready with all the orders and all the things that we have, say, by October 5th. And then for that to happen, you also need to understand that a lot of vendors are booked during the time, during that particular time period of the year. A lot of people are doing similar kind of events in your neighborhood. Other schools are doing similar events as well, and they might go to the same vendor. So whether you're procuring products or you're booking events, keep in mind that you need a lot of advanced booking with the vendors themselves. There's a lot of paperwork that goes with that, the payment, the policies, and there are things that needs to be kind of kept in mind. So work your timeline backward from the date that you want to have an event or you want to start a campaign, and see when you need to start. And typically it could go anywhere between 1 month to 3 to 4 months. If you're having a spring carnival, you may need like 3 to 4 months planning in advance. You just can't get up and say, hey, we're going to have carnival in a month and let's start planning. That can't happen. So just a few tips there.
Absolutely. Those are all exactly right.
And I would also add to that, something I try not to do is I try not to let parents know the exact date that, for example, cookie dough delivery is going to be, because if the school starts communicating a cookie dough delivery 6-7 weeks in advance on, September 9th at 2:00, and there was a delay, most often not on my end, but on the school's end in getting their orders in, or they were waiting for late orders to come in, or there was a family crisis and things got delayed, you will have parents that will complain that I was told cookie dough was being delivered on Tuesday at 12:00 and it's not here. I don't care that you changed the date. That's the only date I can come. So a lot of times my schools will put like cookie dough delivery to be determined, or cookie dough delivery will be, before Thanksgiving or the week of. So it's not set in stone until we truly know when it's going to happen.
Good point. Okay, so I think we went over a little bit of this. The key components of an event is planning and communication. I think something that we just keep saying over and over again is communication is key. Communication is key. Choosing choosing what event is important. Again, it is what you believe in, what you are excited about. It's very crucial. You have to believe in what you're doing or it does not work. And let me just tell you, I have seen this happen over and over again. I have seen someone choose to do a fundraiser because that was something that they personally were interested in and no one else on the board agreed with them. But because they were that person and they set that in place, it was not successful because they didn't have the support of everyone. So it does always take a little bit of compromising. Divide up responsibilities. Always put people in place with their strengths. It'll play to their strengths. Play to that person who is organized. Play to that person who likes to be in social media. Play to that person who likes to go to school and hype it up during lunch hour. Those are important things to know. Communication. We used to say when I was working at the nonprofit, when we would do events, it takes an average of 3 asks to ask somebody before they would ever donate. It's important that you keep putting the word out there. Okay, next slide, please. Choosing the right event. You explore, you decide, and then you get approval. Getting approval is important. Knowing what's worked in the past, knowing what didn't work, know your demographics, know the public that you're pulling from, know who they are, and get your support. Demographics is something that I want to talk a little bit about. I don't care if it is a event-based or if it's a vendor-based. I will have people tell me all the time, well, our school is on reduced lunches or we are a Title I, and I like to tell them, if you are doing any type of fundraiser other than t-shirts or specific mascot stuff for your school, the person that is doing the sale, the student, even if they're economically challenged, that person, their parents, their grandparents, they work with other individuals. They know people, whether it's through sports or through their church, that those are the people they're asking to support. You're not actually asking that child or that parent to give. What you're doing is you're asking them to help support their school, asking others to help support their school. So I always kind of shy away from, people say that I have to kind of put it back in perspective. You're not really asking your families. When you ask them to buy t-shirts, you're asking families. When you're asking them to do other families fundraisers, you're asking the community. Okay, so next slide, please. This is something I like to say to everybody. Keys to successful fundraising. Every fundraiser can be successful, but not every fundraiser is right for your school. I will see people posting all the time on Facebook, do this, it worked for us. Do that, it worked for us. And you know what? I can look at a lot of those and go, yeah, I know that doesn't work for my school, or that did work for my school. Everything is a suggestion and everything is a guideline. But this is the key that makes every single fundraiser work, no matter what it is number one, information. Everyone has to be informed, from your principal to your teachers, to your parents, to your student body. Everybody has to be informed. Number 2, participation, getting participation. If you only have 10% of your student body participating, your fundraiser will not be successful. I always shoot for 30% and above on direct selling, on vendor-based. That is kind of an average. Enthusiasm. If you're enthused, if the school's enthused, if your teachers, if your principals, if everybody is excited about what's coming, then it will be successful. An incentive. The incentive. Incentives do not necessarily mean prizes for kids. The incentive means, what's the payoff? What is my school going to benefit from this fundraiser? That right there is key. If people know why they're supporting your school, you are going to have a much, much better sale. So information, participation, enthusiasm, and incentives, that will make any fundraiser that you choose work for your school. Okay, next, please. All right, here's questions.
All right, we don't have any questions, but if you guys have any questions, please type it in the Q&A box. You can also ask questions anonymously if you do not want to be identified. All right, so given that we don't have questions, and take your time, we still have a few more slides to go over. And if you have questions, feel free to ask them right now, or you can, as I mentioned, email them to any of us later. All right, so Cindy, you want to talk a little bit about Cherrydale? Sorry, Tracy, not Cindy, Tracy.
Okay, yeah, Cherrydale, we are a fundraising company that I think we've been in existence the longest of just about everyone. Cherrydale started off as a confection company. They started off doing candy. We happen to be nationwide. We're in about every state. We really pride ourselves on customer service and providing pretty much every product that you guys will need for fundraising. We want to kind of be that one-stop shop. We want us to be the person that you go to. We're very good about being able to tailor things to individual schools. We do products. We have all the name brand items that you're going to need. We just are there for you guys, from holiday shops to donate zones to spiritware, coupons, magazines, cookie dough, you name it, we've got it. That's Cherrydale. Okay, Cindy, it's your turn.
Hey, before Cindy can take over, Tracy, I don't know if you can answer this question. There's a question that says, with the event-based fundraising, how do the companies differ? What does Cherrydale do that's different than others?
Oh, on our donate zone, how we are different is, first of all, on donate zone, we don't require as much upfront, but we're going to help you execute your run. We're going to help you execute it. We're going to help you make it better. We are going to be the one that's going to be there and give you all the information. We're going to support you the whole way. We're going to make it super fun. We are actually on the cutting edge of online fundraising and making, you'll have your own site for your own school where you can send out your own messages and keep track of everything. We are going to make it successful, help you make your event successful. That's what we're here for.
And there's another question. If you can answer that, you can take that. Okay.
Private school of 50 students, K through 10. When I see a private school with a small student body, I steer them directly to direct sales. Just as an example, if you had 50 students and each one participated in a candy bar sale, so let's say 50 students each sold 2 boxes of candy bars, that's going to give you a profit of $3,000. So a lot of times people don't think of candy bar sales as something that is going to really profit them much because it's only 50 cents profit on each bar. But when you start coming up with a case and a box sold, it really adds up quickly. I do candy bar sales for groups that are 20 cheerleaders, and they can sell 4 or 5 boxes each. So it's a great way with a small group to raise a lot of funds. You can also do a donation color run with a small group. I ran a group of 75 kids, and they brought in $4,000. So there's something for everybody out there. It's just a matter of finding what's going to work best for you and your community.
Awesome. I see a couple of questions here. One of them I definitely want to talk about is the website that we have. Cherrydale has really, really come a long ways in being forward thinking. I was so excited when I left the Muscular Dystrophy Association and came back to Cherrydale that they're using the same type of fundraising site that all the major nonprofits use, where you're able to send your own personal message directly to family and friends. Kids can upload their messages, they can send it, they can ask for donations. We have that ability through our runs and literally through our direct sales. It is just a way to make it great. When you're doing this, you can, with the online stuff, you can contact people nationwide. It literally will make your sell better because the online. I did see something here that somebody was asking about sponsorships in your community. that is something that you really have to like talk to your student body about, talk to your parents about. That's something I would address way, way, way on my timeline, because just asking people, know people, and will know businesses that will help support your school.
The one that
Okay.
says, I was looking into doing events that can open up the name to the community. Do you mean, I'm assuming they mean like a donation event. You can have your donation, like your color run on a Saturday and open it up to the neighborhood. You can also do that for a school-wide holiday shop. A lot of schools will open it up to the community one evening. And that really brings in a lot of people to your school that otherwise may not have.
I see somebody here is asking about door to door, and you know, because we have the online, we do not advocate door to door selling at all for anybody. We just don't think it's safe. We just don't think it's good, but you don't need it. You have got online, you've got texting. People can literally now, if you, instead of, you can take your catalog or whatever to your work, but honestly, people can get online right there, shop online, have it sent directly to them, have it sent directly to the school, but everything can be done online in addition to the old-fashioned way of writing things down on an order form. We have made it so much user-friendly that people can, whether your student lives in the same state, in the next town, in a different city, in a different state, fundraising has no limits anymore.
As far as the question about donations from the community, like sponsorships, that's just not something I'm super versed on, so I'm not comfortable answering that at this time. Tracy or Mila?
Yeah, I can cover this. I've done this personally for my school. And so getting donations from community and sponsorship requires work. There are your best options are really reaching out to the local businesses, and many local businesses are very willing to donate. But the key is that you have to reach out to them in advance. So the way it works for them is they typically, whether it is a large chain retail or a local business, a small local mom and pop shop, they typically have a budget, like either a monthly or a quarterly budget. My husband owns a restaurant, and we give gift cards out to local nonprofits, but we have a budget of $250 a month. And so if you're going to come like 2 days before the event and say, hey, we want a gift card, we may not be able to support that, if especially if we run out of budget. So it's always good to reach out to your businesses for sponsorships much in advance. Most of them require at least 4 to 8 weeks advance notice. And then make sure when you reach out, make sure you have some kind of paperwork, mostly a letter on the letterhead that explains what the event is, what are you raising, how much are you raising, and if you have created any packages. Like, let's say if you create a bronze, silver, and gold package, and gold package, the suggested amount is say $250, and that says that what will the businesses get in return for that donation? Will they get a link on your website? Will you distribute their flyers on their behalf, or they, put their advertisement or their name on the t-shirts or tote bags or whatever? So sit down and think about some of the things that these businesses care about. Create packages around that, put them on the letterhead, put your nonprofit organization name, address, and your tax ID number, and then just approach them and talk to the manager. If they do not give out money, they may give out their store gift cards, which can be used to purchase products. You can, for example, we were doing a promotion grad night, senior night to Disneyland, and we got a lot of water from Costco and local Trader Joe's and all the stores. We got gift cards where we could purchase snacks for the kids. So it really helped us a lot. We also reached out to local realtors and local banks. They donated around $500, and that was super helpful. So yes, you can get sponsorships, but as I said, it requires work, and it is nice to have a person who's dedicated for that kind of, just going out, reaching out to businesses and asking for donations.
Yeah, and I would like to expand on something you just said. When you talk about asking for those donations, asking for all that, those are absolutely fantastic ways to raise money. But let's think about that. You were saying like you get $500 here, $500 there. You need to compare the amount of money you need to make and what's going to benefit you. You can work for a very long time on an event like an auction, and more than half, 75% of your money could maybe go to all the rental stuff. You need to make sure that the amount of money you need to, you're picking the right thing, because like a direct sale, you can literally run that for 2 weeks and you could have $10,000 and you could use that $10,000 to help fund the rest of the stuff for the year. You just need to kind of think about it. How fast do you need it? How much do you need? And how you're going to make that happen.
Can you go to the next slide?
Sure.
Okay, so Grand Canyon Fundraising is my company. I'm an independent rep for Cherrydale, and I cover all of Arizona. But with that, please understand that both Tracy and I know all of the other reps that handle the other states. And if you are interested in getting more information on any of our programs, feel free to email either Tracy or I. The only thing that is a little bit different from what Tracy has versus what I have is I do carry some other lines. Smensels. If you're not carrying Smensels at your school, contact me today. Let's talk. They are the easiest way to raise funds year round because they're only $1 and all of the kids love them. Jelly Belly and Popcornopolis is also another fun, exciting spring sale right after the holidays of December. So in January, February, depending on where Easter falls, that's a great one to launch because everyone starts thinking about that. But again, just going back, you can visit the Cherrydale website. You can visit my direct website at grandcanyonfundraising.com to view and email me and ask any questions at any time. We're here to help you. Granted, I cover Arizona for everything, but Smensels is nationwide. But we're here to also answer any questions. If you get in a bind and you're a fundraiser and you're in, Nebraska, don't hesitate to send one of us an email. We're happy to help you out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know, try to find out.
Next slide.
You're welcome, man. Have a great day.
Okay, so there is a question about, we have done cookie dough wrapping paper and they also don't want them going door to door. If you have a school that's running a traditional cookie dough and wrapping paper, first of all, make sure it's name brand. Make sure, like for us, Otis Spunkmeyer is what outsells every other cookie dough out there. People want to buy something that they know is going to taste good when they get it. Our wrapping paper is top quality. And if they don't want families going door to door, that's okay. These kids belong to sporting groups, whether it be karate or dance, Boy Scouts, church on the weekend. I tell my schools, hey, you know what? Talk to your church. See if you can set up a table outside of, Mass when it lets out. Make a poster with your school. Wear your school shirts that advertise what school you go to. People will come over to see what you're there for, and that's when you can tell them, hey, our school is doing a fundraiser. Would you be able to help us out? You don't have to go door to door to make sales. Parents work. The online community of setting up our Cherrydale online site where you can email friends and family out of town is so easy. We also have an area with Cherrydale where you can go online and shop and hit ship to school. So it can ship to school or it can ship to home. And we do ship product for free to the school, and we do ship product free to the homes as long as they order $75 or more. And as any consumer would be, I'm going to spend a little more in the product I'm buying so I can have free shipping. So there's a great way to make a lot of online sales. I'll have schools that'll do $20,000 just in online sales because they promoted it correctly.
Hey, a little bit that I wanted to add here, again, based on my personal experience, is that, and I want to flip this a little bit, instead of saying that, hey, parents are tired of sending their kids door to door, or the kids do not want to go door to door, I actually encourage my kids to go to door to door. Because, that is one of the skills you learn is how to talk to people, how to talk to strangers. Selling is one of the best skills, life skills that you can have. And one thing I did when my daughter was young and she was going from door to door, the first time she went, she was super nervous and she just couldn't get the words out of her mouth. When I observed that, I trained her. The next time I said, hey, when you go, say hi, you ask how they are doing, and you introduce yourself, you say what you're doing, and then you sell the stuff. And
right, but never go by yourself.
yes,
Yeah, you
no.
can't. We don't encourage door to door by yourself. We don't.
Yeah,
so-
no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's always the parents or some adult has to accompany the kids. Never send the kids out alone.
Perfect.
But make sure that you train them. You tell them how to talk and encourage them to be to be able to talk. And I think that is one of the things that if you really think that door to door is one of the ways, then just encourage the parents by saying that this is going to teach them some useful skills. All right, so we are almost towards the end of the end of the webinar, and thank you so much, Cindy and Tracy. This was super helpful for.
I hope we were able to shed some light, especially on anybody who's maybe new in the Department of Fundraising. Again, feel free to email Tracy or I with any questions that you come up with.
Absolutely. There's so many things that we just barely grazed over fundraising. Lots of people out there. I've done it for many years. Call, email, text. I don't care. I'll help.
Yeah. So we have some resources on the slide deck to you. As I mentioned, we'll make the slide deck and the recording available to you soon. But feel free to contact any of us with any more questions you have. And if in the chat window, if you can kindly put in your feedback on today's webinar, and if you would like any follow-up webinars on this topic of fundraising, that will be great to hear so that we can get more speakers, or we can get Cindy and Tracy to come back again and talk on some other topics.
Yeah, we can talk more detail on other things if we need to.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, and I hope you have a wonderful Thursday afternoon and rest of your week. We hope to see you soon again. Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye, Cindy.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.